Hey guys, how's it going? I hope everyone is doing well. I am doing fabulous. It's been still rainy here. I've been trying to keep up with my yoga. I hope that you all have been trying to do the best you can. I know we're all probably getting a lot of rain. It's just that time of year. So try to find fun things and activities to do around that and appreciate the rain because when we don't get it and everybody's fussing that we need it. But when we do get it, it's usually nonstop, and then people fuss about that too. So try to embrace the weather no matter what it is and find something to do to have fun and make the most of each moment no matter what is going on in your life. I wanted to start this video by talking about a post that I saw on Facebook, and I just wanted to give a shout out to the top commenters that I saw because I was so pleasantly surprised. There's a few community boards here in Chattanooga, so if you're in my area, you'll know what I'm talking about because Chattanooga is so small that I'm sure most everyone saw this, but it was a picture posted of the most stunning young woman, and she was out in nature and her eyes were just show-stopping. They were beautiful. That was the first thing that I noticed was her eyes, and I believe it was a selfie, so she was capturing herself in a moment, and it was just beautiful. It was breathtaking, and the post was about, it was made by this young lady's mother talking about how she's mentally ill and how she's homeless, and don't be afraid of her and don't start confrontation with her, to just let her be, and that she doesn't know any better. She's extremely paranoid. Listed all of these symptoms off and all of these things that people should watch out and be cautious for. And while she added compassion, she wanted people to be compassionate of her daughter. It was just it was like a novel that she posted about this girl. And as I said, we are in a very small town. Although Chattanooga might have a lot of people in it, it is 2 degrees separation at best. So everyone will comment. There was thousands of comments on this post, and the top one was of someone, and you can post anonymously in this group, but this person didn't, and I want to give them props because they were loud and proud about how this might be gaslighting, and for anyone reading this novel to acknowledge that everything might not be as it seems, and that someone might be creating a narrative for this person that is self-serving and to get ahead of anything. And I was just so proud of them because that happens so much in our society now, especially in smaller communities where news travels fast. Everybody knows each other. A lot of people will take to gossip and not look into something and judge a book by its cover, or to believe someone's negative comments about someone before trying to get to know the person at all. And a lot of comments below that person were saying that, yeah, that was their first thought, that this was gaslighting. And then a lot of people were saying that they knew this girl from school and that she was the sweetest person. A lot of people were saying positive things about her, or some were saying, yeah, I saw her lately and she has a place that she's staying. It might not be with the best people, but she's got a roof over her head. And I thought the most important thing about, other than seeing that these people were looking to the other side of the coin and not just taking what this lady was saying at face value, because if she's homeless, she's obviously not staying with her mother, so she doesn't trust her mother. And that says a whole lot about the person that's posting this. There's a reason that she's not with her mother. There's a reason that she's not seeking her help in this time of need. And then you've got to look at who's saying it. This person that she doesn't trust is saying all of these things to the whole community about her, and letting them decide for themselves, or hoping that they take her word for it. And it was just so unfair to this lady. My heart went out to her, and I pray that she is safe and that she finds people that she can trust. And if she does need help, that she can get the help that she needs, because even though someone did comment that they were her former boss and that she trusted them, and that whenever she felt nervous or anxious that she would seek them out to help calm her down, and that without medicine this young woman could be just fine, but she did have her moments. And all of us have our moments. But if you find yourself in a position where people are picking at you, they are bullying you, they are putting your problems on blast to anyone that will listen, or inducing certain behaviors on you from them that could be abusive or manipulative or gaslighting, which is manipulation. If they are living in this environment and they are taking this kind of behavior from other people because they're supposed to love them, they're supposed to be able to trust them and think that they have their best interests at heart. And if they don't, in fact, then if you have trauma, if you have anxieties, if you've had depression, if you have any kind of issues already, it's going to exacerbate them. It's going to make them bigger. It's going to make you distrust a lot of other people, because if you can't trust the people, especially being a young person, if you can't trust the people that are your family and that tell you that they love you, then who can you trust? So whether she has these things that her mother said she had or not, if she did in the smallest way, behavior that is put upon her that is not fair, that can induce more trauma, will make these things bigger. And that's what happens a lot of times. And then people will capitalize on that as a reason for you not to look bad at them, for them not to be the example that you should look at, to look at her, to look at the person who was abused, who was traumatized, and call them out as mentally ill or unstable to make themselves look better, so that this doesn't reflect badly on them, and in turn not help this person, where her mother, who's probably not helped her, doesn't want anybody else to help her either, and puts her in a further compromised position, because she's going to take help from people that probably are not good for her, or she's not going to get help from anybody at all. So either way, either she's going to be ignored or she's going to be taken advantage of. And that's what happens a lot. It happens so much and so easily. I can't say enough how proud I was of the people that stood out in that post and automatically put the other side out there for people to see, because there's so many people that will not look deeper and will just instantly take to what they've been told, or what's in the rumor mill, or what's been posted loud and big and all over the city for people to see, without looking at this young lady's side of it and how she probably got a bad shake, and she's going to continue to get a bad shake if people go down the road and attach to the narrative that her mother put out there before anything else could happen to steer them maybe in the right direction. So anyway, I thought that was awesome. I've been listening to a lot of Theo Von lately, and I love Theo Von. I've listened to his Netflix special, and I also watched him back in the Road Rules days. I know he doesn't like for that to be brought up because he's fought so hard to get away from being a reality star, but that is where I know him from. And he has a podcast called This Past Weekend, and I've watched a lot of Jordan Peterson things lately, and he had Jordan Peterson on. He's talked to other people that I really admire. Everyone who knows me, or who used to know me, I should say, would know that I'm a big Post Malone fan. I love some Posty. And then I also listened to him having Kevin Smith on, because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I've seen almost everything that he's made. But he had Dax Shepard on, which I don't know much about Dax, but I thought that was very interesting. And of course, I listened to his Cat Williams, because I love Cat Williams. After his Shannon Sharp interview, I thought he's just a whole nother level now to me. So I'll listen to anything that he puts out from now on. But yeah, I just think Theo is very authentic. He's very relatable. He's not afraid to put things out about his past, about his sobriety and his, recovery. He's not afraid to talk about the things that he needs to work on. So I just wanted to give him flowers real quick because I'm going to talk about Jordan Peterson. But I was very impressed with him and how well he interviewed Jordan Peterson. A lot of people were saying in the comments that Theo brought out the comedian in Jordan because Jordan's very serious and intellectual, very academic, and even though Theo is, a lot of people don't take those with Southern accents very seriously. They equate it to being not intellectual, but when they were together, it brought out the intellectual side of Theo, and I can see that he does think deep about things, and he's a very smart person. He has a college degree, so it was very, very cool to see their dynamic together because I've seen Jordan with a lot of other people, as I've talked about him with Joe Rogan versus him with Russell Brand and how different it is. And that I think as I like to code switch, that Jordan Peterson is very good at code switching. And he did say in this interview that a good way to relate to the public is, or when you're interviewing people or face-to-face with people, no matter what you're doing, that to match their cadence and to make them feel very comfortable and at ease, which is exactly what I do. Everything that I listen to about Jordan, maybe not everything resonates, but a big part of it resonates. That's what keeps bringing me back to being synced up with him. It has this entire time that I've been going through what I have been going through in the past year and a half. It's been a common theme. Like, something always brings me back to Jordan Peterson. He always talks about things that resonate deeply with me, and I've always been able to find a way to put people at ease, and saying, to find a cadence and to match their rhythm with people. It's just another way of saying code switching, and I love that someone who is of his stature also does it, because it lets me know, it confirms how important it is to be able to reach people in speaking their language, even if that language isn't totally different from yours. It's just a different way of being able to reach someone quicker, and you can put them at ease and let them know that you are safe to be around, that you are a light, and you want to shine a light on their light and help them to replicate that, to do the same, to see their potential, to help them to reach for it. All of that. You can bring out the absolute best in people when you find that sweet spot, and the quicker that you can get to it, the better. So I really loved that he said that. A lot of the things that he was talking about on there, he was talking about intuition is God, and that, like, if you're living your life right, and if you are walking on your path, that anytime that you have intuition that it is from God, you should always listen to it and capitalize on that, to follow it. He was talking about how in this society they were having a conversation about freedom of speech, and how that was really coming into play when he was being put on trial in Canada about his doctorate in psychology, because people had filed complaints about him when he wasn't adhering to the woke movement, and that they were basically just calling him mean because they weren't taking into consideration how they felt about gender roles and transgender and things like that, and that anybody could file a complaint, and that they were saying that they were his patients when they never were his patients. But so a big part of it was freedom of speech, and that's what drug me into this particular conversation, because my freedom of speech has been hugely violated. And I think anytime someone infringes on your freedom of speech, no matter what situation you're in, they're trying to censor you, which is what freedom of speech is all about, is to not censor anyone. And if you're trying to censor someone, you're trying to keep the truth from coming out, because if it were a matter of defamation is when you're saying something that's not true. So you would give them a cease and desist. You would sue them for defamation. You would sue them for being liable. And if you're not doing that, and you're taking their freedom of speech away, then you're simply just afraid of what they're going to expose about you. That's absolutely true. And that's been done to me, because I have never once told you a lie on here. Not one time have I lied. So anytime my freedom of speech has been infringed upon, it's not because of defamation. It's because of what someone or many someones are trying to hide. They would take other avenues if that weren't the case, and they're not. So he, being in Canada, they don't have a constitution like we do. So he was talking a lot about how I think Trudeau was in power, the prime minister or whatever, at the time that this was all happening to him, and he had put a mandate in place that ensured freedom of speech. So he was capitalizing on that, and even though he didn't have a lot of support as far as helping him to pay for legal fees, that he was still going to go the long haul, and he was going to completely go nobody is happy about having to go through legal proceedings, but he was going to do everything that he had to do to walk through all of this, no matter what, because he was going to stand up for what he believed in. And I think that we should all do that. I know that at first it's scary, or it can be scary, but we don't have anything to fear if God is on your side. If God is for us, who can be against us? So if you are walking with him and he has put you in that position, he has allowed these things to happen to you, then that is you being called. You are on assignment. And if you're on assignment, then even if you're scared, he's going to help you do it scared. And then eventually your stoicism is going to set in, because if he is with you, he is going to bring a calm to you that lets you know, if you give this up to me, I just need you to walk this path, and I'm going to do the rest, because it's much, much bigger than you. And you need to surrender to that flow and let him do his thing, because he will show up and show out every single time. So even if those first few steps are shaky, they're the most important, because at least you got started. At least you're on the journey. You accepted the call, you're on the path, you are putting one foot in front of the other, and you are doing the damn thing. And he is going to be right there with you every step of the way. Even though it's going to be wild, it's going to be worth it. So along the way in my journey, it's been a long time, and sometimes I've even prayed like, I'm tired, Lord. I've done everything that I know to do. Even when I've tried to throw the towel in, he throws it right back. The next day, the next moment, whatever, something will come up that'll be like the next step that I need to take, and it'll be clear as day. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing there, because if you listen, he'll tell you everything that you need to know by your intuition. So I really love that Jordan said intuition is from God, because that's the whole point of my channel, is following your intuition and becoming the best version of yourself, and knowing that you can do it, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. What leads me to the message is where they went after that in the conversation. And of course, Jordan has always talked about shadow work. I love Carl Jung, and he is a big supporter of his, how he talks about, God. He talks about religion. He talks about how pressure makes diamonds in his book. But he brought up how interplay between the polarities, and I've been hearing a lot of this in things that I've listened to, different podcasts about how you have to learn like what you're not before you can become what you really are, and that is by playing with the polarities and getting everything out of your system, everything that you're not, you're experiencing it, so that you can shed it away, so that it can have its place and it can have its time in your life, even though that's not really who you are. You can say you experienced it, and that's not for you, and you can put it down, and you can continue on your way to where you're really supposed to be. And a lot of times societal norms will mold us, or try to put us in a mold, or sometimes you might try to put yourself in a mold and get you to conform and get you to adhere to all of the programming and all of the indoctrination that you might get from school or church or your family, just the conditioning that you grow up in. Think back to when you were a kid and the things that you wanted to be as a kid. I know when I was a kid, there was a lot of movies about that had what was it, marine biologist. That was like the big profession, but I always wanted to be a singer. I don't know why. I really have always loved music, and I asked for like a microphone, not a karaoke microphone, but just a regular microphone. And I know my neighbors hated me for sitting outside and just singing for hours on that thing. But then I would come into my room and act like I was in a studio. And I loved Whitney Houston. Her first album was like so close to my heart. And then Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, all of those things. Like, I thought I wanted to be a singer, even though I was not good at it at all. But it made me so happy. And the things that you like when you're younger, when you're pure, before you are conditioned by anything and you haven't been told what you should be or what's expected of you, or to drop all of those childish things and become this because that's who you are. This person or that person's telling you who you need to be. And think back to the things that you liked back then, because that might be the thing that you need to go back to. That might be the thing that really makes you happy and fulfills you, and isn't you just developing into something that somebody has told you that you have to be. So that's where, when you do that inner child work, those things will start to come back up. I remember a lot about loving to sing. I remember in church we were going to do a play one time, and I had a solo, which I was scared to death of, but I was so excited about. And we ended up not ever doing the play. But I did practice, and I sang in front of other people. And it was really scary at first, but I ended up doing it several times. And the song was, "If God is for us, who could be against us?" And I still sing that song to myself. So even though the play never happened, the song has great meaning in my life to this day. So I don't believe that anything is a coincidence or an accident. Like, it all happens on purpose. It's God guiding us every step of the way, even when you think that it doesn't mean anything. It really does, especially when you go through a hard time and you look back on things like that and you're like, that's why I learned that song, because God wanted that theme to be driven within me so that I could look back on it at any time and know that He's there for me, even when it seems like no one is there for me, that He is always with us. He is inside of us. So the polarities, it really got me thinking. And then Jordan started talking about Job, and I've always seen myself in the book of Job, and having integrity in the face of life's catastrophes. And that's another theme that my channel is based around, is knowing that no matter how many things are stacked against me, that how hard it looks or how long the journey has to be, that I will not give up on my faith. I will not let anything else enter my mind, even when nothing makes sense at times, as it has in my recent past, that nothing will ever make me give up on my faith, because I know that God has me right where He wants me, and that I have been put here for a reason. And no matter what anybody tries to say, it doesn't matter to me. But if you listen to others that might say, well, they wouldn't be going through that if they weren't this, that, or the other, trying to get you to sway to their narrative. That's not true. If anyone has a narrative about you, and you are keeping your head high, and you are walking your path, you have answered your calling, you've just got to know that they're trying to wear a mask and get other people to go along with their narrative, because silencing you and getting them to believe the narrative is only because they are in fear of the truth coming out about themselves. They're just trying to get ahead of something. They're just trying to control you, to manipulate the information. They can spin it however they want. It's for a self-serving reason. So you keep doing what you're doing. I don't care who says what. I don't care what you hear. Actually, stay away from the peanut gallery and listening to things or reading comments or whatever is coming down the pike. You keep your faith at all times, because if God has put you there, it's for a reason. He is working in everyone's life in that situation. It's all a test. It's all a test. And I know I have said and been mocked in the past about how I am the trap. I don't mean it in a arrogant way. I mean that if God puts someone that he called in plain sight and he sees how everyone around them has treated the situation, their so-called friends, their so-called family, just bystanders who have been complicit, whether they want to admit it or not. If you did nothing, you were part of the problem. If you repeated anything or you know something and you didn't stand up and do what was right, you are part of the problem. And God exposes all of those things by putting you through these trials to see how you're going to react. You're showing him how much work you have done, how much faith you have. You're showing him every part of yourself the whole way. That he creates those situations just like he created the situation for Job. Like, are you down for me? Show me you're down for me. I'm going to take everything from you. I am going to take your family from you. I'm going to take everything from you. You're going to be okay, but you have to have faith and walk that walk and show me how down you are for me. And Job did, and he did. In the face of catastrophe, he stayed down. And I am ride or die, and I want you guys to be also. So he talked about maintaining ethical orientation and aim up. It's how you find out who you really are, and that is how I found out who I really am. I saw this reel the other day where this guy, he was preaching and he was talking about how don't ever isolate, don't ever walk through the wilderness on your own, like it's not safe there, but you're never alone. And isolation is the way to elevation. That's the only way that you're gonna have the things that are not truly a part of who you really are, your authentic self, fall away when you don't have all of these influences, how you don't have everyone in your ear or around you for you to sync up with things that are not meant for your highest good. That's the only way that you're going to find out who you really are, is when you isolate. And that helped me out a lot, even though some thought that they were doing that to me as punishment and I don't have any support. I didn't need that. All I needed to be was by myself with the Lord, by going within and connecting to my higher self and to meditate and to pray. And he showed me everything that I needed to know. It really helped me to get to who I am, who I really am, and not all of the things that I thought I had to be, or the person that was covering up those wounds with band-aids or with, substances or anything at all. You're just raw and you're open. And that was one thing that Theo Vaughn said on his podcast, was how many times he had cried. And even though I didn't know much about Dax Shepard, they were both talking about sobriety, and he said, you're crying because you're sober. You don't have anything to cover up that pain anymore. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that he's crying, that he's working on those things. I thought that was very, very good that he had he didn't care to share that. That makes him very relatable, because a lot of people need to go through that walk. A lot of people need to stop covering things up and to feel that pain and to work on their trauma so they can learn what they needed to learn from it and get in and get out and level up and move forward, to not be stuck, commit to their healing journey. So that was another thing I really liked about Theo. But Jordan was talking about to help others and to give with whatever you have been through or you've learned. And that's what I'm trying to do. That no matter what I've been through, I'm trying to help others. I'm still keeping the faith. I'm still trying to give with whatever I have to give, whether that be money sometimes to people that are less fortunate, or whether that just be information or my testimony through this channel that I want to give. I still want to give. I still want to help. But in that theme, the learning what we are not before we can become what we really are, after I think I wrote down some things that would help, but I thought about, like, they were talking in the thing about if you get away from the conditioning, if you get away from things that have been impressed upon you and made you think that you needed to conform, if you break away from that, if you wander aimlessly and you haven't done like your shadow work and you haven't integrated that into who you are and learning from it moving forward, that you will attach to the first thing that you meet unknowingly, and that it will be, as harmful or more harmful than what you freed yourself from. And that made me think about like runaways, because we have this deli in town called the Yellow Deli, and a lot of people have talked about it, and other groups like that in the West, like California and stuff, that attach upon people that are like runaways and that are transients, and they're getting away from what they were in, and then they will reel them in because they're offering them stability and food and shelter and things, and then it's often not better, and a lot of times worse than what they got away from, just because they hadn't established, they hadn't separated themselves from it and gone through that isolation to help them to elevate and to have a clear sense of purpose moving forward and what they wanted for their lives, and given themselves space and time to heal from that. And I just thought it was very important to touch base on that, because when you get away from it, you're going to be drawn into the familiar, what seems safe, that even though you're away from what was hurting you, that if you're wandering aimlessly, then what seems safe and familiar is all that you know, and you might go back to it thinking that it's different, but it's more of the same, maybe even worse. I think the last time or the only time that I've eaten at Yellow Deli, I took a tour of it, and it is beautiful inside. All of the woodwork is beautiful, but what I caught on to was the guy saying, about the food, and any donations that they receive helps them to continue to do what they do, but he didn't really say what they do. And that was just really shady to me, because even though it might be safe, I've seen a lot of news articles that say it's not, and by him being very vague led me to believe, I just got the feeling, the vibe, that what they're doing is not to be publicized, that he doesn't want people to know. He just wants them to be able to keep doing what they do, and not have any kind of light shown on what it really is. But anyway, yeah, unbecoming what you are not. I think that it's, in order to find out what you really are, you have to unbecome what you are not, and shedding aspects of your identity that don't align with your authentic self, getting rid of masks, expectations, and molds that society has created, and embracing your own true nature. And so it brought me to a quote that the guy that wrote the book The Alchemist, which I'm big on alchemy. I think it is one of the best survival skills that there is, and I will teach anyone that wants to listen how to do it, because it absolutely is one step and one thing, a big thing that helped to save my life. But the guy that wrote The Alchemist, his name is Paulo Coelho. I think that's how you say his name. But he says maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that you are, everything that you are not meant to be. And he talks about signs being everywhere, to follow the signs. And I'm big on signs and synchronicities. And he says that when you put out into the universe what your heart truly desires, that it will conspire to bring that to you. And that is 100% true, that if you follow the signs, that the universe, the Lord, source, is leading you to what is best for you, what is your heart desires. You create your own reality by putting all of that out into the universe. And the Lord knows that I've put my own specific order out into the universe a long, long time ago. And I continue to embellish upon it, but I will follow the signs and synchronicities no matter how long it takes to get me to where He wants me to be, to receive those things, because I have not shut my heart off. I have not shut myself off. I know that I'm deserving, and I know that I'm worthy. And I know that where I was is not where I was meant to be. And all of those things happened so that God could show me that those were not my people. and that we need to rise above that, and we need to keep going because those people still need to learn their lessons. And the quicker that I learn mine and get away from that, then I will align to the things that are for my highest good. And I trust that God is, He knows exactly what He's doing with His divine plan for my life, and His divine timing, it will come to me. So you've always been the person deep down who you're trying to find again, but it was never truly developed. And then on top of that, everybody piles on their expectations and what they've learned from other people, and even manipulation on top of that, that keeps you buried, keeps that buried, and adds more layers and layers onto it. And that's what, with my channel, I want to help people, to crack them open, to help them to shed all of that so that they can learn to heal from what they've been through and what held them back from becoming their true self, and to dig their way out of that, and to learn to love themselves and to raise their vibrations and to love others and to help that multiply. That's what we're here to do. Love is why. So someone used to pull on me with trying to pull me back in and play me like a yo-yo by telling me things about movie lines that I used to like I used to love the movie Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore, the Steven Tyler PJs, or different places that I wanted to go or that I had been, or, bringing back up memories, or different foods that I like, that I know you, just trying to remind me that I know you and that I remember these things about you, and to pull on, the sentiments of, well, they really do know me and these things are part of me. But the thing that they didn't know is that I had never truly, really developed myself. So how could they know me when I had not gotten in touch with who I really am, who I wanted to become, how I wanted to develop into the character that I've always been, but I have never been safe enough to really explore that and get in touch with that person and to walk into that power, fully embrace it without caring what anybody thinks or has to say about me, that I love me and I know that I am special. I love that person, and that person has never been able to come out. So the way that I thought that they were pulling on me was not really pulling on me at all once I realized that I was not the person that they thought I am. Those were just things that happened in my life, things that I happened to like. It had nothing to do with who I am, my true essence, which God knows the best. So no matter what anyone says or does to you that might try and hold you back or to keep you hidden, God knows your true essence, and that can never be duplicated. That is you. That is you through and through. He made you. He knows who that is, and it cannot be imitated, not ever successfully imitated anyway. So the ways that I wrote down the steps to try and unbecome who you are not is self-reflection. Take time to understand your values, desires, and what truly resonates with you. Like Jordan Peterson resonates with me. Different people that I have come across in my life truly resonate with me, but I have never taken the time to really reflect on that, and how what resonates that they say or they do is part of my value system. It's who I've always been. That's what I want to emulate. It's always been part of me. I just have to capitalize on that and not on the things that people have done to me, or people have said that I need to be, or what is expected, or what is acceptable in society, and how you can fit in. To truly rise above all of that and to be who you are at your core, your very most authentic self. That's beautiful, beautiful, all in your own way, no one else's way. Identifying limited belief systems, which I talk about all the time. What have been your outside influences? Question those expectations and pressures that you have unknowingly internalized throughout your whole life. Just like how I used my family as an example, the way that they tried to put things on me that I internalized, that I thought that I had to be loyal, and that I had to meet their expectations. And once I stopped doing that, it was so freeing, because that wasn't ever me at all. That was them and what the box that they wanted to put me in and what they thought of me, which was A lot of times, like rooted in jealousy and rooted in their own insecurities and how, pulling the crab back in the bucket, that I want you to do good but not better than me, or I don't ever want you to do good. I want to always be, higher than you, because who are you to surpass your elders? And even though I knew better about a lot of things that they were trying to teach me, but I stayed where they wanted me to be because I thought I needed that love, but it never really was love, and I didn't need it at all. And if people are doing that to you, if they're getting loud, if they're trying to manipulate, if they're trying to use any kind of coercion at all, when you try to grow, commit to your growth, they're pressed. They're oppressed, whether it be a person, an institution, your friends, your family, whoever it is, a lover, whoever it is. If they are pressed because you are growing and you are learning, then was never for you. That is them scared to death at your learning and what that might teach you, and how you will learn that was never for you in the first place, and that everything they were trying to do was attempting to hold you back. It was attempting to keep you small, to keep you where they wanted you for their own self-serving purposes. And a lot of times things that people will tell you are bad are just things they're afraid of you using to learn that there's so much more out there for you, and that other things work, and that everything that they were telling you was a lie to keep you where they wanted you. That's why they get so pressed. They don't want you to realize that if you do the things that they are telling you is bad, that you might actually outgrow them and go on to elevate and become all of the infinite possibilities that are out there for you that they didn't want for you. And you thought that they loved you, but by teaching you those things, they were showing you that they wanted to keep you dumb. They wanted you to put them on a pedestal so that you felt that they knew more than you and you needed to do what they said. But they were just really leading you astray instead of guiding you on your highest path. That's why you have to go within and connect to God yourself, because He is the only one that you can trust to put you on that path. And once you get on it and you see what really is for you, nothing can hold you back. Even if you choose to love those people still, you'll still know with what degree to love them and how close or how far away you need to be from them in order to be what God had, be everything that God has for you individually, for you. Doesn't matter what He has for them. That's none of your business. You be in the business of doing what's best for you. No hate, no confrontation needed. Just do you. Set boundaries. Boundaries are very important. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. So, but you do. So protect you at all costs. Embrace your vulnerabilities. Allow yourself to be imperfect and inauthentic. Celebrate that, even if it's challenging, especially if it's challenging. Every challenge is worth you meeting it at where it is and walking through that challenge or that fear with no hesitation. Because if it was placed before you as a hurdle, as something that you have to go beyond, it was done for a reason, and you will have nothing but great things on the other side of that. So always push through. One thing that Jordan Peterson always brings up almost every time that I hear him talk about is Nietzsche. And if I had read a book by its cover and I had just gone by, the title God is Dead, I never would have looked into Nietzsche. But it opened my eyes and it let me know that I was still in a limited belief system with just, buzzwords. There's a lot of buzzwords out there that control you, that are used to immediately have distaste for something, when in fact, if you look deeper, you shed back those layers, you will find that there's a deeper meaning. And Nietzsche is somebody that I'm very much grooving with, even though he's from the 1800s. I had not looked into him as deep as I have now because of Jordan Peterson. So I'm very thankful. He's all about enlightenment, and that's what I'm all about these days anyway, now that I'm becoming the real me. The me who wants the best for everyone, and I want to be the light. He talks about how it's a ladder you climb to discover your true self, and within that, the self-satisfaction that will come is you aligning the ideal with the actual. So I found an article that was awesome with his quote that become who you are. So once you've unbecome what you are not, becoming who you are, a lot of people had labeled him like a nihilist and that he was set on destroying human values. But really, in fact, when you look deeper, that he's unifying the purpose behind fulfilling like the moral place, the vacuum that existed with the decline of religion when he wrote God is Dead. And he didn't say lack of religion, he said decline of religion, because religion was still there and still very prevalent, but by putting God in a box and misleading people by using the Bible to become Svengalis and to use it however they wanted to use it, to guide you in the way that they wanted to guide you, by telling you that certain things are bad, or that you need to do this, you need to do that, or you need to condemn other people that did this and did that, and create hate and division, that God is dead because you have destroyed everything that God is really about and how big he is, and that he is inside us, and in turn we are powerful. They wanted to take all of that away for self-serving purposes, for money, to become a business. That's what church has become. If you look, what was that documentary on Netflix, the Hillsong? They'll show you how church is a business. And the pastor himself, who has turned his life around, who did horrible things, is on there telling you himself how he went down the wrong road by letting that take over. But anyway, Nietzsche talks about virtue and happiness are deeply intertwined. The cultivation of character is an individualistic enterprise, that it is all about becoming yourself and being alone while you do that, the separation and isolation that is required for you to elevate it into your own individual, that it's as unique as your fingerprint, which I've said many times, which just baffles me why I have held Nietzsche at such an arm length over just God is Dead, over three little words, when I have been practicing the things that he talks about for a long time. I do not idolize him in any way. I want to put that disclaimer in there, that God is the basis, the very foundation in which everything that I do is built upon. Even though I have crystals, I do not idolize crystals. Even though I have sage and I use things for clearing the energy, I do not idolize those things in any way. And anybody that says any different is putting words in my mouth and trying to create a narrative that is simply not me. It's used for self-serving purposes because they are pressed. Nietzsche talks about how the individuality, it holds the key to our fulfillment, that only rare individuals could be expected to overcome the obstacles in their way and to make it past the perils of conformity and comfort. The highest peaks of flourishing are awaited. And I think that is beautiful. He talks about how we are chaotic multiplicities competing for dominance, and to take a sledgehammer to cultural baggage, and that remaining will be the map of everything that you care about. That deep down there is a spiritual fate that is unchangeable, and this is I. That is the I am. And he talks about role models and how you should use those to springboard off of when you're determining your individuality, the things that really resonate you, and pick those apart, why they resonate with you, why those match up to who you are at your very core, and not be those people, but emulate that and how you step forward, and that you can integrate that and how you evolve as yourself, how you build your character, build your virtue. And it made me think about, well, of course, Jordan Peterson, Ron Paul, love Ron Paul. I even thought about Sha'Carri Richardson and how I love her. She is a role model about what the things that she's fought through and the things that she's overcome. And just watching her run and how powerful that she is, even though she's so little, that she is creating her own destiny. If you ever doubt that we have creation over our own destiny, look at Sha'Carri Richardson. I love that Carrie's in her name and she corrects anyone when they try to say Sha'Carri. But if you look at her run, she's steady. She's not slow, but she's steady through her whole race. And then there at the end, when you think somebody else has taken her, she puts it into like gear 7 and she is zoom out of there almost every single time. And I love that about her, because just when you think somebody else has her, you put your faith in the wrong thing the whole time, because she was hidden in plain sight as the winner the entire time. I love Betsy Johnson. I love that even though, and she's in her 90s now, but even in her 80s, she was doing cartwheels down the runway, and she's very out there in her designs. And I just love her prints. They're very like Lisa Frank-esque, even though they're not as out there. That she's just very in your face with her fashion, and she doesn't care how old she is. She's still gonna rock herself, and she's still very popular to this day, even in her 90s. So I love her. Well, even Kanye West in a certain way. I don't adhere to his shock factor and the things that he says that are really like out there to get your attention, that he doesn't necessarily mean, but he uses it, like I said, to shock and to get attention with. I have always admired how he called out the powers that were when they tried to freeze his bank accounts and they put out narratives. And if you go look at some of the stuff Candace Owens puts out about MK Ultra, and how there's this trainer that a lot of people that have been called crazy and that they try to create this narrative about in Hollywood, like Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, Kanye West. There's a whole list of people that this trainer, I cannot remember his name, or I should have written it down, but he I think he's Canadian. I'm pretty sure he's Canadian, and that he has been involved with MK Ultra, and that is the same tactics that he tries to put into play whenever things don't go, especially when things don't go right. But that is always the narrative that they try to spin, because he puts those conditioning tactics into his training. And if they want to manipulate these people, if they want to create a narrative, they will either drive them crazy, or if they don't adhere to the programming and it doesn't work on him, then they will call them crazy and try to gain support into not giving any credit to this person at all, because they don't know what they're doing. They're totally off the rails. They've lost their mind, which has been done to me. So I love Kanye West being very outspoken at all times. And I used to tell my oldest son that he needs to, write one of those "I will never commit suicide," because that's going to be the first thing that they do when they can, is to kill him off, to stop him, to silence him. That's what a lot of people want to do once individuals they have a conscience, they have a virtue, they have morals and values that they stand upon, and then they speak out and become a whistleblower. They'll cut them loose, they'll call them crazy, they'll kill them. Happens all the time. Look at that Virginia girl. That was a big whistleblower on the what's his name? The guy that killed himself in jail. Jeffrey, oh my gosh, what is his name? I can't remember right now, but you know who I'm talking about. The one that had the islands, and all the celebrities went there, and there was all this underage sex trafficking. That Virginia girl, she just got killed, and she did put out on social media that she would never commit suicide. And then what did they do? They said that she committed suicide. So anyway, I just had to explain that's why I do respect Kanye West. I know it was long-winded, but just upon saying that, people could be like, what? But there's a reason. There's a huge reason why I respect Kanye West. But Nietzsche also says that self-discovery must be brought to fruition by action. So you have to put action behind it. And a big supporter of his is a psychologist that came way later, but he's one of the most quoted psychologists in history, and it's Abraham Maslow. And he talks about self-actualization, reaching your potential, believed in focusing on positive qualities instead of a bag of symptoms, which is the bill of sale that a lot of people like to tell you about people. Instead of having you look for the silver lining, they try to put all of these bad qualities out there about someone to immediately discredit them. And Maslow was the complete opposite of that. He claimed that gradual embodiment of one's values was a fundamental task of psychological health. And once you start to becoming that individual, starting to get to your core self, your most authentic self, it is so freeing. That was one of the things that Cat Williams said that I say. I was really impressed by that, or just whenever it resonates. So Cat Williams is another person that really resonates with me that I put as a mentor. About creating heaven on earth, that is his goal, that is his number one goal in life, is to, maintain his peace, to guard his peace at all costs and create heaven on earth. And that's what I want for all of you. But Maslow said, I have a quote by him that was in 1965, and this was long before I was born. And he's saying some of the things that I say, which have been brought up. Well, where do you get that? Or where do you get that? Like, I'm just talking out of my head and making these things up, but I am into psychology through and through. So the things that these people have been saying that I have studied, it comes from them. Shadow work, Carl Jung, Maslow said in 1965, we already have a start. We already have capabilities, talents, directions, missions, callings. And then the job is, if we are to take this model seriously, to help them to be more perfectly what they already are, to be more full, more actualizing, more realizing, in fact, that they are in potentiality. So we possess all of that in us already. We just have to make them more perfectly what they already are by getting all of these other conditioning, all of these other impressions, these expectations, these people, these institutions out of our way, to be by ourselves, with our higher self, with God, so that we can become and develop who we already are, who we've always been at our core, and to shed all of those things that do not serve our higher good. It's always been within you. You just have to commit to aligning yourself with it and developing it more and more, and that you will flourish. Don't listen to what anyone says in to negate that in the process. Don't ever. Have faith and invest in you, because God has invested in you, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Also in the article, which I thought was interesting, I don't even know how it came to play, but it was at the end, and I wrote it down because that's how I wanted to end the message. But Michelangelo, the artist, said that he deserved little credit for his beautiful works, and that everything that he made was already inside of the rock, that he merely cut them out, talking about his sculptures. And his quote was, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." And that's what I think, that's beautiful. That's what I want to help all of you guys. I see how beautiful you are. I see your potential. I see how divinely infinite and powerful that you are. I just want you to see that and to carve it out and set yourself free. I don't want any credit for that. I just want to be part of your awakening, and to know that there's so much more beyond what's holding you back. You just have to open your eyes to it and put action behind making that your reality, because you are the creator of your own reality. You and God, every step of the way. That's all that you need. I love you. God loves you. You're never alone. I'll see you later. Bye.